Woo! We did it. Okay, we are live. I am in my cozy little sweater in Kihei because I'm freezing all the time. It doesn't make any sense because I'm in Hawaii, but I am still cold. That's the news for today. How are you all doing? I have been having some great conversations this week about the voice and what it means to be a whole human as a singer. Um, I was talking to another student today about like having weeks that you feel just off. I don't know if you have experienced this as a singer, but there's not always going to be a linear growth. And that's an important thing to remember and to talk about and to just be okay with and have grace with yourself about um because there's going to be days where your voice doesn't feel the same. Maybe you talked a lot or like you've got a whole lot going on and you're just stressed overall. Maybe you're feeling a little sick. Your body is just not in the place that it was last week. It's not necessarily better or worse, it's just different. And that can affect how you're singing too, because your voice is inside your body. And so if you're feeling a little bit more inflamed than usual, then your voice is going to be a little more inflamed. If you're feeling a little more stressed out, then your voice is going to be a little more stressed out, just based on how you're holding your body. That can be both a blessing and a curse because our voice is such a human instrument. Like, it's not like the piano where I can just tell you, like, push this button and you'll make this sound. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. We are ever changing, ever evolving. We have good days and bad days. We have tired days and excited, happy days, and more caffeinated days, and more dehydrated days, and all these things. And so I think it's really important to remember that you are on your journey in the place that you belong. Um, and it's so easy, especially as perfectionists. If you're here, you're probably one of them. Overthinkers, we want to be light years ahead of where we are. We always want to be further. Like, even when we got to the place that we never thought we would be from 5 years ago, it's still not enough for us. Let me know with it. Give me an emoji if you feel that, like if that's you. I think it's really so easy for us to get on this mental train of, I got to be doing better. I practiced yesterday and it was fine. Now I'm going to practice again and it needs to be better than it was yesterday. And that is a noble thing, to want to be better and to want to grow, of course. But there's not always going to be forward growth every day. If you believe that you're a whole human, like, there's going to be steps back in order to take the 2 or 3 steps forward. And so we really have to be okay with that. Um, and for all those physical reasons, and you may have other reasons I didn't even mention, like female identifying people, we tend to have different hormones going on in our bodies, and that balance also affects our voice. I didn't even know that until a couple of years ago. Certain times of the month it gets harder to sing sometimes, and I have to just be okay with that and know my body well enough and not criticize myself for singing worse that day. There's just going to be a little extra tightness, a little more inflammation sometimes, depending on what I ate that day, how much water I drank, how much sleep I got. It's ever changing. And so the hard part is translating that into the mental part of us as a whole human. And so in some of those moments where we are not feeling quite at our physical best, that's when we open the door for our gremlin, right? There's like an extra door, extra windows open for the gremlin to come in and be like, oh, you are not sounding good today. Why are you sounding so bad? You had it yesterday. You're just backsliding. It's not good enough. The many, many excuses. And then you start to get down on yourself about not taking care of yourself. And it just becomes this negative feedback cycle that just never ends. And so there's lots and lots of places, little nooks and crannies where your gremlin can come in and be like, you didn't do a good job. You didn't drink enough water. You talked too much yesterday. How dare you? Who would ever do that? because that's what your gremlin does. It's very good at its job. If you haven't heard me talk about the gremlin today, it's a whole thing. It seems like I talk about it all the time, but I talk about it for a reason, because your gremlin is your inner critic. It's that part of yourself that will never ever believe that you're good enough, and there's nothing you can do to change its mind. It's your ego. It's your super ego. It's your inner critic. It's whatever voice you've had in your life that has consistently shown you that you are not good enough living up to other people's standards. Or you did the wrong thing, you made a mistake once. And of course, we remember and we integrate that and we hold on to it with our bones instead of being able to forget about it, like we forget about all the good things people have said about us in the past, right? We forget about the good things so easily, and we hold on to those bad things because the gremlin has a special little backpack that it puts those things in and holds on to it for 10 years down the road when you mess up on a song, and that gremlin's like, oh, have I got the thing for you? Remember that time in 3rd grade? you know, it's just never ending. And so we really have to be careful when we let the gremlin in and when we don't. And I mean, really, the ideal in this situation is never having a gremlin, but that's not possible. So that's not really the ideal anymore. We just have to get to a place where we notice when the gremlin comes in. And even on those days when you're feeling like your voice is tired, your body's tired, you're a little inflamed, you're a little sick, your voice is not performing the way that it did maybe last week. In those moments, we have to be super careful and put up our own boundaries. Yes, to the outside opinions of people, but also to our own freaking voice, our own opinions, because that's part of the gremlin, right? We start to hear this voice from inside our head going, you're not good enough. And then we start to believe that because it's coming from inside our head. And we think that's truth. But it's really not, because you're a human. Like I said, you're going to have bad days. You're going to have days where you're a little more tired. You're going to have days when you're all in your head about some other conflict in your life. And when you go to sing, you're not fully present. And that is okay. That's the thing I want you to remember. Even if you feel like you're taking a step back, it's okay. Even if you have a performance where you blow it, you forget words, it's okay. You know? And not just because it's happened to all of us, because it has happened to all of us, but it's okay because you are a human being and you are worth it. You are worthy of loving yourself and coming back to your practice from a place of loving yourself. I've been in the place many times in my life where I mess up and somebody smart tells me, it's okay. Everybody does it. And then, of course, my gremlin starts to go. He starts to take over my brain and go, you're not good enough. You got to practice harder. You got to do more and more and more and more. You should never be on stage again. You got to practice for another 3-5 years before you get on stage again. And so then I come back to my practice in that place. And it's desperation. It's aggression with myself. It's battling on the inside. It's so hard to learn anything and to grow in any way if you come back to your practice from that perspective, in that place where you're letting your gremlin take over. So this is why I talk about reminding your body that you're safe, reminding your nervous system that you're safe before you come on stage, before you just even come back to practice, before you even sing for fun sometimes, because sometimes our gremlin is so pervasive. It's just everywhere all the time, and its voice is so loud in your head that if you come back to your practice while it's still there, while your body is still in fight or flight mode from that experience, which your body takes as trauma, not necessarily big T trauma, but little t trauma, acts the same way. There's nervousness, there's dry mouth happening, there's all kinds of reactions that your body has, normal reactions to any kind of attack that it views as an attack. And so we have to come back to our practice having done the work of reminding your body, hacking through the body in order to get to that place of a gremlin-free zone that is temporary. but you can do it. You can reach it. And so really so much of this work is about knowing your body. I tell people all the time, like voice training is just, it's brain training and body hacking, or vice versa, brain hacking, body training, same. It's just finding those patterns that we have developed as habits for so many years, whether it's your gremlin coming at you and saying, you're not good enough, you got to practice harder, or whether it's jaw tightness or tongue tightness or not breathing fully or not trusting your body or trusting your ear. And so there's always going to be some kind of tightness, some kind of adjusting and maneuvering happening from both sides, right? If you're in that gremlin place of you're not good enough, there's always going to be some extra tightness wherever you add tightness in your body based on your patterns. And so we have to see that for what it is, not letting it be another source of pain and battling on the inside of you when you go to perform, you know? And so I think that's really important, especially when you're practicing, even when you're practicing with a coach. Yes, it's my job to be the safe space for you and notice when the gremlin voice comes in for you and say, hey, can we define what that is, who that voice is right now? But eventually I want you to be able to be that discernment for yourself, because I don't want you to need a voice coach forever. I want you to be a person that starts to see your own patterns, that knows your body so well, that knows your own tendencies, and also loves them for what they are and doesn't try and deny them or like repress them or aggressively try and get rid of them. Hopefully that makes sense. So all of this to say that when we are practicing, when we're going on stage, when we're learning a song, when we're practicing a new technique, when we're doing any kind of trying to push forward in our growth as a singer, as an artist, as a creative person, we just have to take the down days in stride and not let it be another reason why we let the gremlin come in and hammer on us, because there's plenty of reasons. I don't know about you, but my gremlin finds a reason if I spill water on the counter, it's all downhill from there. It's like a negative feedback cycle central. So you can only imagine with singing, something I value very highly in myself, how deep that gremlin takes a mistake, a mess up, a piece of music that I didn't sing according to my plan. Let me know. Give me an emoji if this is resonating with you, if this feels like you as well. Yeah, it's just a lot being human. This whole being human thing, man, it's tough. Much less trying to be a creative human who shares their art out into the world. My goodness, there are layers to that. Holy moly. And so as we come into this last couple weeks of the year, I've written on my calendar rest in like 8 different places. Is it going to happen? Who knows? But this is my big ask of myself and of you as well. If you're here, if you can take a little bit of extra rest, those down days are going to impact you a lot smoother. They're going to be a lot less of a dig if you are coming at it from a restful place. And that means resting your voice. If you have a job where you talk a lot, rest your voice. Like tell your kids, like, hey, we're having quiet time. If you need me, come back in an hour. Or I'm just writing things down for you today. I'm not yelling. I'm not talking. I'm just taking it easy on my voice. Whatever that means to you, just take a rest for yourself, for your creative being to recharge, so that when you do come back to it, it's a place where you're not judging yourself for doing not enough. Same as when you're coming back to practice from a place of regulation, nervous system regulation, from a place of not fight or flight, from a place of being playful and just seeing what happens. I ask my students to be in a place of scientific experimentation a lot of the time, because it's not like you're a scientist and your whole career is riding on this experiment failing, right? That's not what scientists do anyway. They're just trying new things and seeing if it works. Same thing with you. Instead of coming at it from a gremlin voice filled place of, I'm not singing as well as I was last week. I don't sound as good. What's wrong with me? Blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you know that cycle very well. But we're working towards, when we feel that happening, resting. Our brain, our body, our voice, just our being in general, resting your creative self, resting your physical self, resting your mental self. And then when you are ready, when you feel like that fight or flight is done, coming back to your practice or getting back on stage or coming back to a lesson with a sense of, I am okay as I am. That is the most important thing you could ever do for yourself, for me as your teacher, for anyone that you collaborate with ever, for your children, for your spouse, your friends. It's the most important gift you can give them. Stepping into whatever space you are stepping into that with them, having already told yourself that you are safe and that you are good enough and that whatever comes out today is okay and good enough. And you are worthy, and you're a good singer, you're a good artist, you're a good person. That feels like a good place to end today. Nice and short and sweet. I love you. You are enough. Take some rest this week. Schedule in some rest time the next couple of weeks, because goodness knows with all the stuff going on, we need it. Like if you're meeting with family this week, like take your rest before you go see them. Cannot stress that enough. If they make you sing for them, make sure you're in a good, happy place about it. Yep. All right. I have my Christmas playlist in my bio of my Sarah Jelly Music profile if you want to go check it out. It's called The New Type of Christmas, and it's different Christmas songs than the old standards because I got real tired of those when I worked in retail. So that's in my Sarah Jelly Music bio. I think I might have put it in here too. I don't remember. But probably in this one is my 3 magic tricks to singing better in seconds, which sounds too good to be true, but it's not, because the magic is all inside of you. Highly recommend checking that out if you are new to me, new to my world. It's free. Just go download it. It'll take you 5, 10, 15 minutes to read, maybe. And then over the next week, try and put those things into practice and notice what changes about your voice. I have a couple private studio openings for January, but 2 maybe. And I have, yeah, that's a maybe. So if you're interested in working with me privately, get on it now. Just DM me. I'll give you the link to schedule. And Vocal Magic is changing in the new year. If it has seemed a little bit out of reach to do the full 6-month mastermind program with me, totally get it. I'm switching it up, making it a little more accessible, making some changes to how I offer it. So if you're interested in learning more about that, also DM me and I'll put you on a list of the first people who will get to hear about it. Yeah, don't be scared. DM me. I am here for you. I want to hear all the things about your singing struggles. That's what I'm here for, and I live for it. So I love you very much, and I'll see you very soon.